Ingrid of Norway is coming to study in Sydney at university.
This is big news. Yeah. Now, Australia is going to be welcoming the future Queen of Norway. As you said, Princess Ingrid Alexandra. She's heading here in August. She's going to be studying at Sydney University and doing a social sciences degree. She's at the moment second in line to the Norwegian throne. So her grandfather is currently king. She's 21 years old. I can imagine her getting into a lot of university life when she does touch down. She's going to be staying on campus as well.
Wow.
So do you think she'll be sharing a room or having her own?
100% she'll be sharing.
Surely. You got to have the full uni experience, right?
It's going to be really interesting.
O-Week's going to go off.
It'll go off.
Look, just 2 years ago, Queen Mary's nephew, Count Nikolai, he was living out here studying at UTS. So Australia is really, really attractive for these young royals wanting to study away from home.
Get their HEC stats up.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's right. Good for them. Thank you, Nat. We'll see you soon.
King and Queen have greeted massive crowds as they kicked off their historic two-day visit to Canada. Live now to US correspondent Lauren Tomasi, who is there for us this morning. Lauren, this is an important visit for the King.
Jane, if timing is everything, then the timing of this royal visit is certainly set to send a message. The King and Queen touching down here in Ottawa at the invitation of the new Prime Minister Mark Carney, and it comes at a time where tensions between the US and Canada are at an all-time high, with Donald Trump making those continued calls for Canada to become America's 51st state. Well, the culmination of this trip for King Charles will be when he delivers a speech from the throne at the opening of the Canadian Parliament. He's expected there to highlight the sovereignty of Canada. For locals here on the ground, they say he is already sending a message that Canada is not for sale.
It's very important that Prime Minister Mark Carney invited him to show the neighbours south of us that we are a sovereign nation. We're part of the Commonwealth. He is our head of state, and Canada is not interested in becoming part of the States. We are our own nation.
This very much is a whirlwind trip, 24 hours all up, spanned over 2 days. That will culminate in that speech tomorrow, Jane, and so far there has been a very warm welcome here in Ottawa.
And Lauren Tomasi joins us with the latest on Donald Trump and also King Charles. The Canada situation playing before our eyes. Lauren, good morning to you. What's happening?
Good morning to you, Carl. Quite the situation and quite the symbolism from King Charles as he delivered this rare message from the throne here in Ottawa, Canada. It was quite a poignant moment to watch King Charles take that throne, a throne that his late mother took some 50 years ago. Look, the messaging here was very clear. King Charles didn't say Donald Trump's name directly, but certainly was sending a message to the United States that Canada is a sovereign state and it has a king. This is a rare address from King Charles. He really took on those themes of sovereignty, but he also warned Canada that it's really in an unprecedented time, a dangerous time, he says, the most dangerous since World War II.
As the anthem reminds us, the true North is indeed strong and free. Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear and ones which the government is determined to protect.
The King received a standing ovation as he ended that speech saying Canada was strong and free. So powerful messaging there, but I actually wanted to tell you about a moment that happened outside the Parliament and a lovely connection to Australia. King Charles and Queen Camilla were in a carriage as they came up one of the main roads in Ottawa. It's a carriage that was actually built in Australia in the 1890s, so it's more than 100 years old. It's been refurbished here, but lovely to have that royal link from down under as that speech took place today. The King and the Queen now on their way back to England, and we await a response from Donald Trump.
King Charles has thrown his support behind Canada in a powerful speech during his royal tour, with many viewing it as a subtle or not so subtle dig at President Donald Trump. Have a look.
Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear and ones which the government is determined to protect.
And meantime, could there be any plans for a quick catch-up with Harry and Meghan while he's in the region? Probably not. For more, we're joined by 9Honey royal reporter Nat Oliveri. Nat, good morning to you. Okay, first of all, let's talk about this speech. How's it been received?
Well, I would say the same, not subtle at all, actually. I think there are about 4 references to protecting Canada's sovereignty. And this is all in those, in the face of those threats made by Donald Trump about making Canada part of America, its 51st state. Look, King Charles, he is head of state of Canada, as he is here in Australia, and he has to walk a fine line. He can't be too political, but he absolutely made it clear that Canada has a right to be its own country. He was praising the people for having its own identity, and he also gave many personal insights into his relationship with Canada, talking about how, this was his 20th visit, and every time he visits, it just makes, it becomes like more of a home to him. So really, really lovely words from King Charles. That speech wasn't written by him, it was written by Canada's government to present, I guess, their plans for the year ahead. But he has been warmly welcomed to Canada. The people love him there, as they do in Australia. And look, this trip, it was very, very quick, less than 24 hours in total. He's already back on his way to home, but he certainly met as many people as possible during his short time there. And really those words, they're going to go down in history really as being one of King Charles's most significant, especially in light of what's going on at the moment.
It's certainly going to make it very interesting because Keir Starmer obviously turned up when he was in the Oval Office with the President with an invite from the King for the to host Donald Trump later on this year.
Yes.
If that invitation takes place, this adds a little wrinkle to it, I think.
Well, it's interesting because the King has apparently invited Donald Trump back to the UK. It would be his 2nd state visit, which would be a first, really. Presidents don't usually get invited back for another state visit. We haven't actually heard any dates of that firming up yet, but so really, will it happen? Who knows? It certainly would be a big thing if it did. But I think it's just this royal tour was really being billed as more than just your average royal tour. King Charles had to make his mark. It was his first visit to Canada as sovereign, and I think he has done that.
What else did the King and Queen get up to while they were there?
Yes, it was very short, Sylvia. The first day they met as many locals as possible, going to a market stall. They bought some maple syrup to take back home to the kitchens of Highgrove, as you do. They planted a tree. They went and visited a war memorial. And look, I think it was just, they only had less than 2 days there, so they really had to make an impact. And the Queen, this is them arriving on Monday, and the Queen wore one of the late Queen Elizabeth II's diamond brooches, also worn by Kate when she was in Canada in 2011. So, the royals, they do that diplomatic dressing every time they go on royal tour, and we saw Camilla doing it there.
Also good to see the King looks healthy too.
He does look healthy.
Talking about his health the last few months.
Yeah, and he was in April. In April, he was in Italy, so he's certainly been keeping busy. We're expecting him to take a few days off now that he's back home. But look, good on him for being out there. It's what we want to see from our King.
Sure.
Well, with Harry and Meghan, they're just in Montecito. That's not that far away, but it turns out Harry's nowhere near them.
Yeah, look, many were speculating that this could be a chance for King Charles to meet with Harry while they were sort of in North America at the same time. Turns out they weren't actually around there at the same time. Harry went to China over the weekend. He flew there for a travel conference speaking about sustainable travel in his role as head of Travelist. So he wasn't even anywhere nearby King Charles. They haven't apparently seen each other face to face in more than 15 months. And Harry said just a couple of weeks ago that the King doesn't even take his calls anymore.
Very
so
sad.
as much as a lot of people want those relations to be repaired, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon.